Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This session is basically a continuation of the session which we had on the 26th of June regarding a guide to Canadian immigration. During the session, we tried to answer a lot of questions, but we couldn't finish all. And hence, this is a follow up session. This is a very quick 15 minutes video where we will try to answer all the questions which the participants asked at that point in time. So we'll try to keep it quick. There are a few repetitive questions as well, which we have which we are not going to entertain right now, but mostly 90% of the questions are going to be answered. So here you go, Minas. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Right on.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. First question, Minas. How can you immigrate to Canada at age of 40 and with low express entry score?
Well, Express Entry is one of the programs. There are many other programs that one can consider, depending upon the occupation, depending upon the financial capability. Startup visa program does not require any huge, requirements in terms of the investment, so to speak. And there is no age points or age restrictions either. And in addition to that, business investors program are completely free of the age restrictions. So I mean, I understand that Express Entry is predominantly very famous amongst the people, but there are other programs that must be looked into to get the idea of the eligibility of an individual, regardless of their age.
Okay, so express entry, low express entry score is not the end of the world. There are many
That's right.
different paths which individuals can explore based on in their own profiles. Okay, thank you, Minas.
Correct.
How does the process of immigration go if we apply directly through the Canadian government website?
Oh, absolutely fantastic. I mean, there is no problem in doing so. The only challenge that most of the people come across with is the specific skill set of understanding the detail-oriented information that is required to complete the application. Most of the people just understand that it's just a matter of filling out the forms.
Mhm.
Technically, it is not filling out the forms, it's more than that. But as long as you've had a bigger and better understanding about what it means by putting in your full complete application package, absolutely, by all means you can do it without any help as well.
I mean, there's a lot of comprehensive information available, but it depends on individual. How do they read that information, comprehend that information, and accordingly act on it? Thank you, Minas.
Yeah.
Next question. Um, there is a scenario based. So this is a profile person says a person having 15 years work experience with an engineering background in the Middle East, a Canadian equivalent bachelor degree in his late 30s would be interested to immigrate. However, without a Canadian job offer or relatives in Canada, or Canadian experience class seems to be impossible. What are the options?
Well, without having a job offer, it is going to be challenging given the situation what we have been given, because express entry and PNPs are the express entry means I'm talking about federal skilled worker program, and provincial nominee programs, are the only getaways that I can think of on top of my head at the moment. Those specialized programs would be the only options without having a job offer, right?
Mhm.
And then keeping in mind these kind of programs, will be points based system, and a points based system means competitive pool of candidates.
Mhm.
So every score of your IELTS, you cannot do anything about your age. You cannot do anything about your education as well. Let's say if you have had a 10, 14, 15 years of experience in engineering, you've already a master's qualified. So what can you do? English language is
Mhm.
absolutely essential. Every
Mhm.
points matter for English language improvement, and then the programs that would go along the sides of federal skilled worker program and provincial nominee programs.
Mhm. Okay. Uh, for FSWP program, how much would you require as proof of funds?
So there has been actually just a couple of days ago, IRCC has revised its new requirements for the proof of funds for FSWP program. I don't have the sheet handy in front of me, but even if you Google it and go to the official website, because don't end up getting into the archived information
Mhm.
page, go to the official updated page that was just released just a couple of days ago. So that is the most updated information that is out available
The
on the
advice
IRCC website.
in terms of proof of funds, we should always go with the most updated information. Thank you, Mehul.
Absolutely.
Okay. I am a registered nurse graduate from Aga Khan University and having 5 years experience, including 1 year of internship in AKU. So if I apply for job offer letter in Canada from Pakistan, how much chances are there to get a job offer as a registered nurse? IELTS is overall 6.5.
So
If
this,
this is a long question, I can repeat.
yeah, no, I get it. This is a very common question and common case study that I come across with people, especially from the community members from Pakistan and in UAE region. This is normal situation, right? So the detailed answer is actually lies in our next webinar that is going to be conducted more geared towards healthcare individuals. So I would highly recommend that. Just to give a very high level response to this question, there are ways that you can try to nail it to some of the areas and those specific areas, and what are the other areas that you can work on in order to get your licensing requirements while you're also inside Canada, because those things go line in line with each other. So those specific details will be discussed in our next webinar. So please
Okay.
join for that.
Okay, thank you. Makes sense. Um, how can I apply for a caregiver stream? I think that's also the answer is that this upcoming program where you are going to focus more on all medical related and relevant fields. Okay, we'll move on to the
Exactly.
next one. A person from Pakistan having 18 years of banking experience, which program best suits to apply for Canadian immigration? Okay.
So banking is again, it's a large umbrella. In banking we have risk management, we have finance, we have many different types of sales, marketing. There are a huge number. I don't know that what is the background that this community member is asking about, but my understanding is that in the finance department, let's say, which is the most prominent field in the community, that many members belong to the finance or the medical or nursing background. So given that situation, I would say that one has to look into the age factor. If it's an 18 years of experience, you have to consider what is your age points that you will be you fall under in the federal skilled worker program. That's number one. The second, if you are you think so that the points you're not going to be able to make it to the finishing line, then perhaps the best idea is to look into the provincial nominee programs or the new programs which are Atlantic immigration programs and RNIP, rural northern immigration programs. They are programs. They are geared towards experienced individuals who can who has the official genuine job offer from the Canadian employer, from those designated Canadian employers in those respective regions. But the other requirements in terms of the age, English language, and other things are of least importance as compared to the job offer itself.
All right. Okay. And then we can individually answer the question related to banking experience as well later on. That's fine. Okay. This self-employed program, what funds require? Again, I think the answer remains the same.
Yes, yeah, exactly. I mean, self-employed programs, as per the last updated information, what we had, there is a specific requirement. IRCC website is the first point of contact where you can get the most updated information from there.
Okay. Okay. How do we differentiate caregivers category from FSWP1? I think you should cover that in the upcoming session.
Yeah, it's a huge difference. I can only say that don't mix up. People try to mix up one program with the other programs so frequently. Perhaps they understand that one immigration and many different criterias, and if you mix and match, that will be acceptable. No, this is not acceptable.
Okay. All right. Uh, how can I have a job offer before entering to Canada as an immigrant? For instance, for someone in health industry.
So someone in health industry, there are two types. Again, the answer to this question will be given in much more detail in the next following webinar that we have plans for the community. So please do attend that, because I'll be covering that what can be done, because there are two types of occupations. One in the healthcare industry, one is the regulated professions, and the other one that are non-regulated, and where there is a blurring lines where we can take the advantage of your previous education and experience to get your foot into the door as an employed individual to the Canadian healthcare sector. Maybe it may be not directly a registered nurse from the Canadian regulatory perspective, but you may be able to get your foot into the door one tier or two tiers below that RN title. And then during that time, while you're getting the experience and understanding the nature of the job and your employer, at the same time, you can also pass the exams and the your regulatory requirements to get the licensing of being a registered nurse in Canada.
Okay, great. And it says what particular federal or provincial program is suitable for passive investor to get a permanent residence? I don't know what is a passive investor. I
Yeah,
mean, the name suggests it, but it's still, what is a passive investor? Is there any idea? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Quebec was the only province, and I'm using the word very carefully, was, because currently there is not a single program, either at the provincial or the federal level, where any investor who can just invest passively and not contribute actively in managing the business or the day-to-day operations of the business is mandatory. So Quebec was the only province in which they were accepting $1.5 million of investment. You just keep it. You don't need to do anything. You invest in the Quebec. You invest it through the Quebec program, and 5 years later you would receive the permanent residency nomination from Quebec. But that program was put on hold for the revision in 2019, and it has been extended to further revision until 2022. So there is no insight for us that what will be the state of that program.
Great. That's you have an elephant's memory, Minas. You have a lot of information already available. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Okay, so then the question is that which province is recommended for provincial nomination besides one's individual preference?
Well, you need to weigh in the, from our perspective, if you ask me, for me, all of the provinces are pretty much the same in terms of, your goal is that you need to weigh in your points-based system if you're coming through the points-based system. So wherever you are, you have a higher chances. So once you have the evaluation for each province, because each province has their own criteria, has their own programs, and each program has their own respective criterias. So
Mm.
if you are fulfilling and getting more marks or scores in one province as compared to the other one, then of course you should consider that province. And that province may be any province of Canada, right? Because here we are talking objectively without any biases or preferences of that, okay, whether you have a family member or number of people, we are not putting those factors into the consideration. We are objectively focusing on which province to be focused based on the permanent residency program. I would say that you should have the evaluation of each of those provincial programs objectively, clearly, so that you can score yourself and then make the decision, based on the
Good.
evaluation that you conduct.
Okay, great. How to get the list of latest OID for each province?
Excellent question. Yeah, so OID, is an evolving and is a constantly evolving list. It's not a list, to be honest. Now, there used to be the specific list of in some provinces that they used to populate that, only 15 or 25 or 35 occupations will be considered as OID, occupations in demand, right? But lately, all the provinces have pretty much opened up a bigger space for a large number of occupations. And the idea is that you need to submit your expression of interest, and then province will evaluate based on their own emerging situation. So that listing is not there anymore. So they won't tell you, or they, all you need to do is you need to look into the previous trend of the past, past couple of years of draws of that province, and try to filter it down that, okay, you know what, which ones are the most commonly repetitive in that province, and based on that you try to guess that, okay, there is a most likelihood that these occupations, which is particularly from the NOC perspective, the NOC code, National Occupation Classification Code perspective, they will be continued to be repeated down the road. But there is no guarantees for that, but you can guesstimate based on the previous trends, recent trends for the past 12 to 24 months of draws of that province, and then try to make it the list out of that.
All right, that's great. That's great. A very interesting question. What is within GTA and outside GTA?
Okay, excellent question. So Toronto is surrounded by other cities as well. So majority of the people in the world just know about Toronto, right? But Toronto is the city, all right? And there is surrounding cities by Toronto, and they are literally next to each other. So people who are living in Toronto, they
Mhm.
technically do not differentiate between Toronto and, let's say, Markham, Toronto and Richmond Hill, Toronto and Oshawa or Pickering or Ajax. They're a little bit distant. Of course, there is a distance. Driving distance is there. It's Toronto is a massive city. So the area surrounding that Toronto altogether is known as Greater Toronto Area. So within Greater Toronto Area, meaning that those cities that comes along with the Toronto and the surrounding cities.
Surrounding
And
cities.
outside
Okay.
GTA means outside Greater Toronto Area. So London, Ontario, Niagara Falls, Kitchener,
Mhm.
these are not the cities part of within GTA, they're outside GTA.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. That's nice. Okay. And most of the provincial nominee program regarding job offer, I'm aware that you apply through job banks, but most of the vacancies available prefer local hire. So, what is the best way to apply for jobs outside Canada?
What is the best way to apply for jobs outside Canada?
Outside Canada. I mean, while you are outside Canada, probably
Okay,
that's what candidate
okay,
meant.
okay. Yeah, I think so. This is a tricky question. Tricky in many ways. Number one is that um, the newer programs, Atlantic Immigration Program, RNIP, Rural Northern Immigration Program. The third one is also on its way, Municipal Nominee Program, which we call it out MNP. Um, Similarly, Yukon Community Pilot, YCP. Many of these programs are, you know, geared towards only one primary requirement, that is a job offer. And one of the reason that community and the people need to understand that there is a severe shortage of the workers in Canada. There is severe shortage of many workers in Canada. But
Mm.
but we need to understand few things. That we don't need to take it what Minhas just said. Okay, there's severe shortage means okay, anyone and everyone can come to Canada on a job offer. No, there is a specific skill set, specific very vertical areas that you need to figure it out, that okay, which verticals do you belong to, which industry and which sector do you belong to, right? uh, are all kinds of jobs and are available in those regions? No. So you need to do a lot of research about it, because before knowing that what is out available, how can you believe that whatever the jobs that you will be also be eligible to get the job offer in those regions? So first, doing the research is the most important thing. The second thing is um, it is a challenge for the Canadian employers. I'm talking from the Canadian employers perspective as well, because imagine that right now the access to the job board is accessible to tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of candidates. Definitely,
Mhm.
one job offer is out there. And let's say if it's in one of the RNIP region, North Bay or Thunder Bay, one employer is looking for an accountant. Let's very simple example. Tell me how many of the community members, even in UAE, would not, even try to apply for that position, accounting job. financial accountant. People would apply for a higher level job as well as the lower level job. So we need to understand that there is a huge bulk of applications that employers receive, and for each position, if there are 10,000s of resumes are received, how they're going to manage that. So those are the things that we need to consider. Do we have the exact answer for such situations? No, we don't. But keep on trying, make sure that you build your network, reach out to the employers in multiple different unique ways. Don't go for just making a standard resume and just throw the resume into those positions. That's what I would say.
Okay, great. That's great. In the interest of time, Minaz, probably we have to probably increase our speed in terms of these quick questions as well. Few of the answers could be yes or no's, but let's try. Yeah. Okay.
Sure.
Uh, are the nominations closed for this year?
Nominations for which program? Again, we have to be very specific, and an excellent question. Nominations for which program? There are more than 80 immigration programs are out there. More than 80 immigration programs, right?
So while it's
So
not clear, yeah.
exactly. So this question itself tells that how much we need to know before we ask the questions even, right? Like there are so many individual questions. So I cannot answer which kind of nomination of the programs that we are talking here.
Okay. So which PNP programs are currently available for IT professionals? Again,
For British Columbia and BC and Ontario.
okay, great. As an investor, money is enough or you need any additional skills?
Absolutely, you need additional skills.
Okay. Does anyone require equivalency for US degree as well?
Absolutely. For all the degrees other than earned outside Canada.
Okay. Can I bring my family to Canada if I have work visa?
Yes. And family means, just wanted to be clear that
Okay.
an adult
Okay.
can bring the spouse and children who's under the age of 22. That's the family in terms of the definition of the family.
Okay, great. Academic IELTS or general IELTS is required for immigration?
General.
General. What is current situation in terms of COVID-19? They are considering the international candidates for immigration, and also what is the pace?
Public health is taking precedence, as you can, that's evidenced throughout this past 14, 15 months of lockdown across Canada. So given that situation is still volatile, the other countries at the moment, especially European countries and UK, Australia are going through with some Delta variants increase, in their population. So the situation is still evolving. It's premature to say that when the borders are going to be opened up completely by Canada.
Okay. What are the challenging areas while living in Canada one should keep in mind before arriving?
It depends what is your experience and what do you consider challenge as a challenge. For some people, snow becomes a happy medium of doing the winter sports for with their families and with their children, and for some it is the most disastrous thing to do. So it depends, it varies. But it is a country that provides lots of opportunities. It's the perspective that what you bring to Canada and look at it, the things that Canada offers.
Okay, couple of last questions, Vinas. Um, how do I know about my degree equivalent criteria? Like in Canada, my degree is equivalent to bachelor's or master's. I think you already answered that, but probably
Yeah.
once again, if you
Yeah.
just want to quickly cover that.
General rule of thumb, I would say, is that if your degree is of 2 years or 3 years from your country of origin, let's say from Pakistan, then your degree is not going to be equivalent to undergraduate, because undergraduate requires 4 years of studies. That's a general rule of thumb. There are some complicated and complexities exist for some people who have midwifery diploma, and I'm experiencing that more and more from Pakistan. These are the individuals who received midwifery diploma when they completed grade 10. They are not equal to even, the diploma, which is 14 years of education in Canada. They are equivalent to 12 years of education in Canada.
Okay, great. So I think that's all, Minas. There are some more questions which are quite individual profile related, and it would not be wise to discuss those questions because those require quite a bit of details in terms of description as well. So I think thank you very much, Minat. It was quite a lovely session, very informative. I learned a lot of things. I'm sure the candidates or participants will also learn. So when is our next session? When are we meeting you again?
So I think so. We are scheduled very soon. On the next following next weekend, July 13th, I believe. That's the date. July 17th. Sorry,
July
July
17th.
17th is our date, and that's a program where we're going to focus more on the healthcare and caregivers program. So if people from that background, and we are going to cover provincial as well as federal programs and see that what can we do, particularly in the areas of the regulatory requirements. Many questions we will try to answer that in that session. So thank you so much, Naman.
That's great. I would like to thank the Aga Economic Planning Board for the UAE and GCC countries. They gave us this opportunity to present ourselves in terms of a lot of information. And I'm sure the Economic Planning Board team is going to reach out with some kind of flyer to all the participants, whoever is interested to join this. And yeah, kudos to them. They have done a good job in terms of organizing this. Thank you, Minas. Thank you for your time.